Yolanda here, thanks for joining me. So today I'm going to share how I made this lovely box. So I shared it a few days ago. It has 4 individual folios in, and you know, it was requested that I shared how to make the box. It's really useful for lots of things. It measures 6.5 by 6.5 by 2, and when it's constructed it's nice and sturdy, and it could be useful for lots of things. You don't have to put the folios in like me, you don't have to decorate it the same as me. You can just take the principle. It can be a gift box, you could put a mini album in there, you could put absolutely anything in. It's a really lovely box. So let's get started. So we're going to start with a piece of 12 by 12 cardstock, and you need to cut this down to 11.5 by 11. Now on the 11-inch side, when you cut that strip off, save that strip because that will make your handle. So that's going to be 1 inch by 8.5. Put it to one side. Right, so let's start with some scoring. So on the long side we're going to score at, first of all, at 1/2 inch, 2.5 inches, 9 and 11. So that's on the long side. So you can pause the video and write the measurements down. So long side, 1/2 inch, 2.5, 9 and 11. Then you want to rotate it onto the short side, and you want to score at 2 inches, 8.5 inches and 10.5. 10.5. I didn't think that looked right. And then 10.5. Okay, right. So let's concentrate on this piece first. So what we're going to do is fold and burnish all of those score lines. I will show you in real time, and I won't skip any of the process or fast forward it. So you can always speed it up if you so desire in the settings at the bottom of the video. Okay, just need to do this one. Right, so now we've done all of our scoring and our burnishing. I'm going to explain, I've done that side, I'm going to explain the layout of this so that you understand which is the top and which is the bottom. So if you turn it that way with your 1/2 inch on each side there, and then you've got the one with the 1/2 inch at the bottom here, this is going to be the bottom of your box, this is going to be the top of your box. So what you need to do first of all, we're going to go to the top and we're going to release these tabs here. Okay, now you don't need the rectangles at the side at all, and these tabs here, you can cut them and keep them for strength, I'll show you how, or you can just completely cut all of that away, it's up to you. However, I always think if you can save something for strength, you might as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut and remove the rectangle, that 1/2 inch, because we don't need it. Okay, and just gently notch, just very gently there. Okay, I'm just going to go back in and remove the score line because I've left it in. So then trim here, and that releases the flap so that it will fold downwards. Now you can either remove the whole thing or you can just give it a slight notch, okay, and you can fold it over, glue it down and leave it on to give the side of that strength, which is what I'm going to do, but you've got options, it's up to yourself. So I'm just going to do the same at the other side. I'm cutting downwards to release the flap, and then I'm cutting the rectangle at the side away because I don't need it, and I'm just gently notching, not massive, just gently notching there, just so that it sits neater later on and doesn't protrude. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently notch that so it doesn't protrude in my, you know, cause extra bulk, and just gently notch that. So I'm going to just glue these two down. I'm just using tape for quickness. You would glue the whole thing down. This is going to be a sample, just a sample. I've already got mine. Okay, so you'd glue all of that section or tape all of that section and then stick it down there, and it, like I say, it will give you strength on the top of those sides when you're putting things in the box. Okay, so now we've got these side flaps and we're going to go down to the bottom. So we're going to do the same here. Let me just think how we can, I think this bit we folded in to give strength at the bottom. So what we want to do at the bottom here, you've got this 1/2 inch going that way, 1/2 inch going that way. Come to the largest square and release that, cutting upwards like so. That's going to release it so you can fold it either in or up. Okay, and then we're going to remove the 1/2 inch at that side. You're just making a box shape, you know, and we're taking the 1/2 inch away there because we don't need it. Okay, again I'm just going to very gently notch there, just so that it all sits together nicely, and I'm going to notch there to remove the score line and so that it will sit and not cause me any problems. Okay, so you've got that. So the same as what we've done at the top, we've done at the bottom. So I'll do it the same at the other side. Alright, we're releasing it upwards. I'm just going to notch and cut that away. Cutting that away and then cutting that away. I'm just going to gently notch to remove the score line and just a little bit of bulk, and the same there. Okay. So now these here can fold in and they can attach to the bottom here. Okay, so let's just lift it up, add tape underneath or glue. I'm going to add tape for quickness. Okay, I would suggest glue. It'll be stronger in the long run, although this tape's pretty good. Okay, okie doke. So you've glued all of this or taped it all, it's nice and covered with adhesive. So what you're doing now is these flaps are going to, this is going to lift up and these are going to lift in. Okay, yeah, like so. So that's going to go there and that's going to go there, and what you're lining up is this flat edge with this flat edge. Don't be trying to line up the tabs, that's not important. So you're lining that edge up so that it's nice and straight and nice and flush, and then press that tab down to hold it, and then do the same at the other side. I'll just turn it this way because I'm right-handed. Okay. Alright, so now you will see that you've got this. So your box is starting to come together. So this 1/2 inch here will sit on top of these 2 1/2 inches. If you feel like you need to notch them, you can do. It's not necessary. And what you want to do in the first instance is add a tiny little bit of glue or tape onto here where it's going to attach to these two, and then line that up flush, so don't notch this one. I'm just going to use tape because it's quicker. Okay, so let me just add a tiny bit of tape on there. That's a tiny bit of tape on there. So if you're using tape, it don't want to be any wider than 1/2 inch because that's how wide that strip is. Okay, so release that and release that. If you use glue, you've got longer to line it up. So then we've not notched this one. We don't want this bottom one slanted, because then we've got a straight edge there and we can line it up against that straight edge there and press. Quicker with tape, but you can be more accurate with glue, and press. So then we've got the outer frame there, which is 1/2 inch. We've got the top part of the lid. So let's get the rest of the lid on. So we've got the piece that I showed you earlier, which is 2.5 by 6.5 with the 2 1/2 inch score lines at either side. So just pick one end, it doesn't matter which, and just notch it. That's where you're going to attach it. Okay, fold the score line, and then fold the other score line. So this other score line here, just gently notch that as well. but one of them you use to attach and one you use for strength. So the one you're using for strength, put tape or glue on the inside. And they're both the same measurement, so it doesn't matter which one you do, you won't be doing it the wrong way, it's fine. Okay. Fold that over, and that is now your flap, and you've got a strong edge. Okay, so now this wants to attach to here. Okay, so you're going to put adhesive on the back of there. I'm going to try and do it with tape. Let's see if we can get it. So glue our adhesive on the back of the flap. Okay, and it's going to attach like this to here, lining up the score line with the edge of that box there. Okay, let's see if I can get it on straight. I might not get mine on straight. This is why this is a good time to use glue. Okay, let's have a look. If I do it this way, I might get it on straight. Okay. Boom, there we go. Okay, and that's your lid. Right, so that will fold round. It's not fully straight, isn't mine, but never mind, it'll do for the sample. So now you want to put your front on. So here's your front. This measures 6.5 by 6.5. And then what I did was I put it in my scoreboard, okay, and I, with very gently with my pencil, but still pressing on so that it scores, so it stays straight, drew a pencil mark at 1 inch, turned it, did that again, and then turned on that side and did it again. So you've drawn yourself a box there, but you know, without it on that side. Then you cut that away, so you've got a U shape. Okay, then you want tape or glue all the way around. That's going to attach to here, and you want some acetate. So the acetate measures, what does my acetate measure? So I've cut mine to 5 1/4 by 6, and if you just look, I don't know if the video will pick it up, it just gives me an increment all the way around to be able to put skinny tape, but you can still see the black cardstock, so you're not going to see that tape. It also still gives me room to put this tape or glue to attach to here. So you just need to bear that in mind. If your acetate's too big, then you're not going to have room for your tape or your glue. Cardstock to cardstock, you're going to be acetate to cardstock, which is going to slip about. Okay, so you know this is all measured carefully for a reason. So I'm going to remove the tape and attach my acetate first. So I remove it from the bottom, and then I lift that stickiness out of the way, and I line up my top of my acetate with the top of my cardstock. And I am centralising it, and I'm getting it straight. When I'm confident with that, I press it very firmly with my fingers, and then I allow that to drop, and then press. And then you should have fairly decently lined up acetate. Don't worry if it's not perfect. At the end of the day, it's just a box. There's going to be a lid going over it, so there's, you know, nobody's going to notice if you get it a millimetre not straight. Some things come with practice, some things don't matter. Try to get this slippery little sucker off. Okay. You can use glue on acetate, it just takes longer to dry, but yeah, you can use tape. Just be careful if you use glue that you don't daub it all over. So then now we're going to attach the whole of this to the front of here. Now again, glue is your friend here so that you can get it, you know, straight. But you know, we're gonna YOLO it, and we're gonna try our best. We're gonna try. So I'm just gonna remove one side of my tape. Alright. So that I don't end up in a hot sticky mess, that's all. And I'm gonna start with one corner to one corner. Okay? If you get one corner right, then you should be able to, in theory. Let me just check, get that fairly straight. Oh, it's dropped down. Oh, let's see if I can get it off. No, it's going to tear now. This is why glue is your friend, really. Oh, there we go. There we go. It'll do. It'll do. Take more time over yours and get yours more straight. When I did my one for my folios, I used glue, and I was super careful, and I spent a long time lining it up. Okay. Alright, but we're just going to be quick for the video. And then remove that one. Now at this point you need to be checking, because until you've added this, the structure's still a little bit unstable, so you need to make sure that you're lining that up perfectly. Okay. And then that will complete the structure of your box, and it'll all be lined up nicely. Now the next thing that's going to make it sturdy is the T-bar that I've done there. It's going to add stability, and also you can add your magnets. So we're going to add our T-bar, so that is the 6.5 by 2.5 piece. So what you want to do is, this wants to glue, and here's your flap, and it wants to glue up to the first score line like that. Okay, so you know, get a ruler, there's no shame in measuring it to make sure it's in the middle. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to make a pencil mark just here at 6 1/4, so I know where the middle of there is. Alright, and then I am going to use, what am I going to use? I'm just going to use tape. I'm going to use tape for quickness. Excuse me, I'm sorry if I'm coughing. I seem to have picked up a bit of a bug. Okay. Again, use glue. Loads of wiggle room then. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to line this up. Make sure I've not got any tape. And I'm going to get it as central as possible and up against that first score line, not over it. Up against it. Okay. And that gives me my T to close there. So then what you want to do is apply your magnets. Alright, so you put your first one on the bottom here. Let me get some magnets. Careful if you're using really strong magnets, because if they, you know, smash together, they will break. So what I'm doing here, again, I'm going to take my time to measure it. So I want 3 1/4, which is about there, and I'm going for the middle. So I'm going to put my magnet on, and I'm going to put it in the centre of there, and then I'm going to use some tape to hold it down for now. Then we will be layering over with paper. I've already pre-cut my paper, so I'll quickly show you that process as well. I'll show you the whole lot. Okay, so now what I do, when one good way of lining up your magnets, put some glue in the centre of that magnet there, on top of the tape as well. Then line up all of your box, make sure it's all lined up and all nice and flush. Yeah, and lined up there, and then just press your T-bar onto it. And then that glue will imprint on there and show you where to put your magnet. Okay, you can also do it with, if you're using white card or other coloured card, you can just put Sharpie pen on or a bit of felt tip, and that works. But on black card you just need... Right, so let me just get my magnet. Right. So obviously you just need to check which way your magnet's going, so you don't stick it on without the correct polar opposites. Okay, so it wants to go about there. Get some more tape and tape that on so that it doesn't move, and then just check that they're lining up and it's not like skew whiff, making your box lid go like that, and that lines up perfect. Okay, so then at this point you can start matting and layering your paper. So I'm going to start that process, so I may well speed this up. The only other thing that we've got to do is the handle. So like I said previously, this measures 8 1/2 by 1, and we're going to put it in our scoreboard after we've layered our paper on, and we're going to score each end at 1/2 inch. Okay. Fold it over, and this 1/2 inch is where you will anchor that down to your box. So you just bend it in shape like so. Okay. and put one end right flush up against the edge of the lid at one side but central, and the other that it'll just bend naturally. Okay, now I used eyelets on mine, you can if you want, I'm not going to do it here. Right, so let's get our cards paper layers on. So I've cut mine 1/8 of an inch shorter on the width and the height. What's all that noise? Sorry, I'm just nosing out the window because I can hear there's like a cement mixer going down the road. What's all that noise? I'm trying to work. Okay. Now, if you want to, you need to ink all of your papers before you glue them on. That's what I did with my original one. I'm not going to start inking stuff on camera and taking ages. Right, so the sides are, so these are 2 inch by 6.5. So again, just cut your paper slightly smaller. So for example, this would be 1 7/8 by 6 and whatever, 1/8 of an inch shorter. I just go to the 6.5 inch mark on my trimmer and then I pull it back 1/8 of an inch. That's how I do it, because I can't always keep measurements in my head. They don't want to stay there. Okay. But some people prefer, the reason I don't give you all of the paper measurements is because some people prefer 1/4 of an inch. Some people like 1/8 of an inch. Just do what you want, okay? But if you take time and layer it all beautifully with paper, then that is adding extra sturdiness to the box, okay? And also it's, you know, attention to detail. I even decorate the bottom, okay, because it just looks nicer. You don't know who's going to get you, well, you probably do know who's going to get your gift, but you're going to feel more proud of yourself if you've really took time to decorate it beautifully. Okay, now so these are 1 inch strips, so you'd cut it just under 1 inch, so you've just got a small border each way. Right, so let me just show you how I do this. So I've cut them all to 6.5, okay, just under 6.5, I beg your pardon. So I'll glue the first one going over the magnet. Okay, let me get that tape backing off if I can. Okay, line that over. Don't press too hard around where the magnet is, because then what you're doing is you're drawing attention to the fact that there's something under there that's bulky. Yeah, it's not necessary. So go either side of the magnet and press. Yeah, and then just top and bottom. Yeah, and that way it won't protrude and look unsightly. Okay, and then the other 2 pieces are going to be slightly too long because I've cut them all to the same size, but I need to knock that off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it by eye. Okay, and I'm just going to use a pencil. I'm going to look at the increment. I'm going to cut it to about there, and I'm going to cut that one to about there. Okay, I've got time for fiddling. You can measure it and use your trimmer. I'm just going to do it this way to be quick. Okay, so they're roughly both the same. That on there. Now in my original one I used collage sheets from my Secret Garden kit, which is perfect because, you know, it doesn't matter which way you cut them, everything looks nice. So what I've done here is also chosen papers specifically that it doesn't matter really which way around you cut them. It just makes your life a little bit easier. Okay, and what I've done is I've got plain for the back, and then we're going to have patterned on the lid. So I've cut my pieces here as well. So this is going to go on there, and then you just continue the process inside the box as well. I'm not going to do that on camera because it'll make the video too long. Okay, so that there. and then with the plain there and then the patterned there, it just makes it stand out. Okay. Let me just get that. And I would layer obviously on the back of there, so then you're covering over that magnet as well. But I'll leave you to do that in your own time. And then we've got the lovely patterned paper for there. Get it on nice and straight and it'll just look so pretty. And then this one for the top. So again, just under 6.5, and all of these are 2, so it's just under 2, so it'll be 1 7/8 deep. And that goes on there like so. Then you want to let that dry before you add your handle, just because if you add in, you know, gluey wet layers on top of gluey wet layers, you're waiting even longer for drying. But I'm going to do it with tape just to show you. So you'd put glue on here. Now if you want to put eyelets all on your handle like I wanted to on mine, you do it now before you attach it. Okay, do it now. So do your spacing, find your centre, put one there, put one there, put one there, and then put one in the middle of there. Now what I did on mine was I glued this down and then I added an eyelet through here and through here. Okay, if you want that same look. I'm not doing it today because I don't want to waste my eyelets. Okay, right, so glue or tape on here. Now this handle wants to go central, so look for the middle, open the lid and put it down like that if it's easier for you. Look for the middle, okay, and then this edge wants to go right up against that edge there. Okay. Alright. And then if you just slightly bend it, okay, and then that edge right up against that edge there. Just have a look, see if you've got it fairly straight. That's not too bad. Commit, and there's your handle. Okay, and there is your finished box. Another beautiful gift box there to give to somebody. So there you go. I hope that's helped and wasn't too drawn out, but I wanted to show you, you know me, I like to show you everything from the needle to the thread. Mine's just a little bit wonky there because I didn't put my lid on straight, so take time, use glue and make sure you've got that wiggle room. But that's still beautiful, doesn't have to be perfect. Thanks for watching. If you've not seen the original with the folios in, go and have a look. I just added a decorative frame there, and you know, with my eyelets I added some bits of fibres and some things that I made from stamping and fussy cutting. That's all there is to it. Alright, thanks for watching, take care and I'll see you again soon. Bye.